Hello everybody and welcome back to another Matthew Quibell YouTube channel video. And ladies and gentlemen, all I have to say before we even roll the intro is that Nintendo has been attacking some ROM sites and people are asking me to talk about it. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, let's roll the intro. So, over the past few years, ROM sites have been going through a few different kind of like issues, in a way, that have been with Nintendo and the ROM site games and stuff like that. And over the past few months, they have finally been hitting on people extremely hard, especially this this website called Love ROMs. So, if you don't know what Love ROMs is this one of the biggest distribution sites after MuParadise. And this place, you were able to actually have emulators online, so you can just play the game online versus having to even download it and play with an emulator. Now, knowing that emulators are legal to use, but ROMs are technically illegal because it is a illegal rip of the game from point A to point B, which point A being the website and point B being your computer, where you can play on an emulator. So what's been happening with Nintendo and Love ROMs recently is that instead of the normal like cease and desist letter that Nintendo gave to MuParadise, they're saying they had enough of that, and so this time they're actually doing an actual lawsuit. And if you guys don't mind me, I'm going to be reading off this paper a little bit more than normal. Here is the quotations from extremetech.com, which is linked in the video description below. As opposed to the typical cease and desist letter, the two sites were apparently massive distributors of Nintendo-themed ROMs, and Nintendo is asking for $150,000 in statutory damages per hosted game and $2 million for each trademark infringement. It also wants permanent injunctions of both sites, ownership of the domain names, and source records on where all the ROMs were downloaded from. So, in other words, they want to know everything about this. Now, here's kind of my small issue with what Nintendo is doing. A lot of people have done the whole ROM hacking thing because it's letting them be able to relive nostalgia or even put history available for everyone to download. And I think that's an issue that Nintendo is having because there is no preservation or stuff. And a big reason why I could see Nintendo doing this is for two special reasons. And sadly, I don't have the other box, but it would be because of the NES Classic and the SNES Classic. Because they're putting the games on there, and they also do have the Virtual Console for the Wii U and 3DS. So that's how they're kind of preserving their games, is by putting them online for people to pay money to download them. So that makes a little bit of sense, but with that, for people who don't have those systems and they have a computer or just a shitty laptop or even an Android phone, they can play them on the go, play with whatever they kind of want to. And now Nintendo is trying to stop that. They're trying to preserve the gaming history of what was 1985 when Nintendo released the Super Mario Brothers game to now in 2018 when they have released not 2018 but technically 2017 when they released Odyssey, but really it was mainly played in 2018 by a lot of people. Now some sites have went ahead and already taken down the ROMs. This one being specifically MuParadise. This was the biggest place where you could go and get the ROMs, especially if you were me back in the day and you actually found like Super Mario Wacky Worlds and all that type of stuff, and very interesting things to find. But sadly, all those are being deleted, and from MuParadise themselves, they actually posted out a announcement on their Facebook page, and this is from one of the founders, Maz J, and here's what he said. It is not worth it for us to risk potentially disastrous consequences. I cannot in good conscience risk the futures of our team members who have contributed to the site throughout the years. We run MuParadise for the love of retro games and for you to be able to revisit those good times. Unfortunately, it is not possible right now to do so in a way that makes everyone happy and keeps us out of trouble. He also said, MuParadise will continue to operate as a repository for legal downloads of classic console emulators, as well as a database for information on thousands of classic games, but you won't be able to get your games from here from now on. So this kind of sucks, especially if you do not have these games, you have nowhere to find them. And that's going to be the big issue, is that without having your own thing to use to rip the games off of, or if you don't have any friends or family who has ripped the games before, you're kind of SOL. Now, there is this thing called I believe it's called the Retroid. Yeah, the Retroid 2. And you're able to play Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo games on it, and you can connect it to your PC. And if you have a SNES and or Super Famicom controller, or a Genesis or Master Drive controller, you're able to play those specific games, which are super, super cool. But a big issue with that is that you have to pay for it, and that's kind of the sucky part. Now, there is a legal way to actually play the game though, because if you have the cartridge, the controller, and the drive itself, plugging it through your computer and using an emulator to dump the game on is legal in all rights, because you actually have the physical game cartridge, the physical controller, and the only thing you don't have is just the physical console. You just have it on a computer with an emulator, which is legal in today's standards. So another fun thing I guess I can kind of talk about real quickly is that what Rom Sites kind of been doing since the early 1990s. Rom Sites have been around for a long time, especially in the early to late 90s, but they started picking up a lot of pace in the early 2000s when MuParadise became one or the biggest ROM distribution site really on the World Wide Web. And one of the best things about them is that everything that they did was for like their fans or for whoever they wanted to make it for. And that's what kind of sucks nowadays, is that you now have to worry about that. And that's something that I don't want to have to worry about. You know, I just want to be able to go download a game from A, play it on B. Super simple. And that's just not how it's going to be anymore. Nintendo isn't going to be happy with that, because technically you are legally in like infringe marking and, you know, using their trademark and stuff like that. And yes, I can see a big issue with that. But truthfully, if this was Nintendo, if they had a big issue on how they were working with things, then why aren't they trying to continue to fix it? And speaking of fixing things, everyone knows I'm a part of a group called The Nest. I am one of the main admins. I'm also one of the main contributors who kind of works on the videos, who does all the thumbnails for The Nest. And I'm also a host as well as a presenter for them. One thing on here, I'm going to go ahead and read off here from Houdini. This is specifically from him. He sent this to me in a DM. In regards to the ROM sites, if Nintendo is worried about piracy, then I want to see them open up a gaming museum themselves to preserve the history. They underestimate the actual service many of these sites have provided. Legal or not, it seems like behavior that can lead to less people having a love of their games. As someone who has downloaded ROMs, I have also purchased them 5 or 6 times, and I guarantee I'm not the only one who has done that. And Houdini, you are fully right. You're talking to someone who has bought Super Mario World 3 different times, one of them being the All-Stars Edition, the normal one, and I've also downloaded them. So that's 3 incarnations of Mario World that I have. Then I have SMB3, SMB2, and Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt and World Class Track Meet. I have all those games on NES. And yes, through the ways I could also just dump them on if I had a ROM reader or a cartridge reader for my computer and stuff like that, which does make sense. But what doesn't make sense is why Nintendo is freaking out about it. And that's why I want to try to kind of dig into a little bit. Like, are they losing money from their classic systems because this is happening? Are they losing money from the virtual store because this is happening? I don't really know fully, and that's what Nintendo, I wish, could release to us on why they are doing this and why we need a little bit more information on this. But also, as well too. A lot of people could know him as the Purple Bird, Officer Purple, the Gamer Cat, however you want to know him. He also sent me he's also sent me a DM when I was talking about it on Discord, and here's what he said. This could cause problems for rare games that most people cannot afford. I mostly emulate rare games that are extremely hard to find or are stupid expensive. ROMs have also opened the door for many people, like the Mother games, to keep those games alive. So having those ROMs to keep that type of game alive. So here's going to be my end all of this, and here's going to be kind of like my conclusion to what's going on, at least for me right now. I am actually going to be going on a trip to Chicago here in the next 2 days. So I am not going to be able to do any more with this until I come back from Chicago. Now the one thing though I do want to show you guys though is that I have, oh that's a printer paper, but I actually have the legal documents on what they're doing. So I am going to be reading over those and kind of making notes and judgment calls and stuff like that. And then when I come back from Chicago, which will be in the next week or two, we will have a part 2 of this. And I will be talking about what Nintendo is doing, why they are suing, and what case that they have brought up to show that they're not going to be fooling around anymore. I mean, Nintendo's already shown a few different places, like, hey, we're starting to show people off. Epic Games has done this with a 14-year-old with Fortnite. Now Nintendo is doing it to Rom Sites. So I can see that bigger game manufacturers are now looking at this as a big thing that they can do. So the only issue is now, are all of them going to be doing it? And that's one thing that we need to help. Are we going to let Nintendo do this? Are we going to let people continue to ruin how games are preserved and or created? Let me know what you want to see done in the comments below. What's up guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to follow more of my stuff, or if you even want to watch me stream, my Twitch link is down in the description below. And I will have the source files, the source websites, and my script all down below for you guys to read if you do not want to watch the entire video, or if you're better into a reading format. Also, be sure to follow and subscribe to The Nest. We are posting videos Monday through Friday on there, of gaming content, podcasts, and all that fun type of stuff. So be sure to follow all that down below, and I'll see you guys next time on part 2 of this video. But until then, enjoy some more episodes of Super Luigi Land. Until then, I'm Matthew Bell, and I'll see you guys soon. Outro!